Hello, everyone. Glad to see you back here at Silver Tears Tarot. And of course, a warm welcome to anyone who is new and just joining us for the first time. So, here we are in the middle of November. There has been just a ton of change this month. And so we knew we had to have a refresh in the middle of this month's energy, especially like I was saying in the mid-month refresh. This is the soulmate version. I did the regular version previously, but I was thinking after that full moon and eclipse, that knocked some people for a loop. We have some changes that happened in relationships on a very basic level this month, which I know from talking with some of you. So let's see. In the reading we had earlier this month, I remember we saw your person was making some change, and they were even coming to some sort of inflection point this month about their ability to give emotion. Like they were trying to unlock something, but there was still a lot of fear there. So, yeah, I remember that. So, for some of you, they've already hit that point. So, okay, as you know, it's a general reading, it's for all signs. Readings are also timeless, regardless of when I pull them. You'll be more drawn to readings when it's the right time for you to have them. If this one resonates, please do like, share, subscribe. Maybe even check out a few of the recent ones because, as I was saying in that mid-month refresh, we have an awesome collective that's growing. And with it, we have this soulmate series that's been capturing a lot of patterns in the relationships. So if you're just finding me, maybe check out a couple of those recent ones too. Okay, soulmates in the rest of November. Let's take into account what's already happened and understand what's coming for our collective in the back half of November. What can you be expecting in that time frame? So the first thing that I want to pull out is kind of that main idea card, that what is the reading wrapped around? So the main idea of this reading, and what is it going to be? Oh, okay, I just like to take that top card a lot of times. I say that for the new folks because not everybody knows how you pull your cards. Anyway, I just take the top card, and then if I'm drawn to take additional ones, then I do. But a lot of times it's just that top one. So we have the Three of Water. This is the equivalent of the Three of Cups that's coming out here, and I'm using the Good Tarot for your initial, just that top line of energy, and then we're going to go into the next level with that clarifiers using the tarot of the spirit. So, Three of Water in the main idea. This is the energy that the reading is wrapped around. So it's a Three of Cups in reverse. It's the sense of not really having a good time. It's also the sense of like being too full. So like when you, and this is not necessarily what it's going to be. It's going to be more of an emotional equivalent. But when you've eaten too much and you're not feeling good and you just kind of, sit down and want to get better so that you can get past this part, there's something emotional that's happening that has kind of that same sort of thing. It may not be emotional fullness, but there is a lot going on. Let's look at this energetic backdrop here. So, oh, we have the Two of Air, but in reverse, just taking that top card. So the Two of Air, that's like the Two of Swords, and this is the energy of a decision that is not being made. And we've seen, if you look at I decided to include the previous reading that was the refresh for just overall November energy into the Soulmate series because of the things that just were coming out. There were a lot of very distinctly soulmate like energies that were coming through. So it could have been something other than that for some of the people, but it's soulmates for a lot of people. One of the things that came up in that reading was a choice, and it was a choice that wasn't being made, couldn't be made, and it was because of circumstances. So this sense of emotional fullness or discomfort, and just kind of waiting for something to pass, waiting for something to change, and this feeling of this is almost a you can't go home, but you can't stay here sort of feeling. This is an imbalance that has to be resolved. And this is a decision that's not being made. So There is an energy around this that I'm looking for that energetic backdrop, right? And so there's this feeling in the energetic backdrop that the other shoe has to drop. Something has to happen. Something has to change, but it hasn't yet. And it has to do with a choice that hasn't yet been made or a decision. So we're going to look now at what is sticking out the most about what is happening for you from the soulmate perspective through the end of November. And so, what is sticking out the most is not always going to be the same as the main idea, but it's going to be something that's dramatically impacting the situation. Let's take a look and see what comes out here. And this tarot is always so interesting. Some of the imagery that comes out, and it's interesting to watch other people read it too. I don't watch a ton of videos of other folks' tarot because I like to make sure that my readings remain as pure as possible and I'm not getting ideas from anywhere. So unfortunately, it means I don't always know if I'm agreeing with everybody else, but I can tell you what's coming out. So the thing that is sticking out the most about what's coming is the Ace of Earth in reverse. And this is a door that is not opening despite the fact that many efforts have been made. So many efforts have been made to open this door that it is showing up as the thing that sticks out the most. There's a decision that hasn't been made, possibly about opening this door, because it feels incredibly relevant, and a sense of that emotional discomfort and things cannot remain the way that they are. So that's kind of what's happening in the current energy right now. Let's see what else is impacting the situation. So the way that I like to phrase this is not necessarily what's crossing you, but what else is happening. So we have that 10 of water. And the 10 of water is it's an interesting energy because it can be something that looks too good to be true and that needs to be evaluated, because sometimes when you get in close to something that looks like it's too good to be true, you find out that it is. Other times you get in there and you realize, hold on, there is something that I was misinterpreting, but it isn't about how great this thing was. So here we've got kind of a sense that your person is not coming in closer to make the evaluation because they're afraid it's the latter. Right now, they're making this sort of assumption that they are looking at something that is too good to be true rather than coming in and saying, okay, maybe I didn't understand everything, but no, this is actually as good as it professes to be. This is actually what I thought I was looking at, you know. That can take a lot of form. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when we clarify, because what I'd like to do next is look at the hidden energies. And this is going to be, again, it's that thing that you can't necessarily see from where you're standing. So as we were looking in the monthly refresh energy, and that reading feels very tangential to this one. This is almost like an extended reading for that one, even though I'm pretty sure I'm going to stick an extended on the end of this one. So it might be like a three for where two of them are available on YouTube and then the third one's on Vimeo. I don't know. But we'll see here, because this hidden energy, when we looked at that in the November refresh, what we noticed was it was the sun card that came out. So there was this really agitated sort of energy. This is agitated too. There was this really sort of agitated, energetic backdrop that was making it very difficult to see the happiness that was behind it. And there was work that was going to have to happen as in order to get from one to the other. We saw a little bit of that as well. So let's see what's in this hidden energy here. And again, could be anything. It's just something that's not really visible from your current vantage point, and for a number of reasons. In the other video, it was about not being able to see it because of all of the emotion that was going on. But sometimes it's just a matter of perspective or a conversation that you haven't had a chance to have. What we have here is the Five of Fire in reverse. This is not struggling. And so that's what's in the hidden energy. There is a hidden energy of a struggle that is not happening. So that's interesting. We're going to have to take a closer look at this when we clarify, but I think this is, you remember when we saw, and if you saw the reading from the mid-month, you'll notice that your person was supposed to make this choice, but instead they just sort of checked out. And so, in the process of checking out, they had determined, we saw that there was this Actual Five of Wands energy came up, but it felt more like Five of Swords energy. And it was like this internal struggle that the person didn't want to have, and this anxiety that they just didn't want to have. So, what you see here is they're not having it. Okay, let's take a look now to see the energy that you're moving towards. So, what is most likely to happen based on the energy that we're experiencing? But this is going to be, of course, that energy into which you and your person are putting their both of your free will. So, okay, we have the Hierophant in reverse, and this one is about spiritual direction. So it's about kind of lacking in the spiritual direction. What's going to be happening here? What I feel from this card is there's going to be progress forward, but it's going to feel a little bit blind and like you're going to have to come back and double check to make sure it was along the right path. So be prepared for that. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes that happens to us when it's a little tougher to see kind of what's going on. So before we clarify, I just kind of want to see where we are here. We've got this energy that the main energy of the reading is this feeling of like you're too full and you're waiting for your stomach to kind of, things to move on to the next step. There's this feeling of energetic discomfort waiting for things to change. There's a decision that is not being made, doors not opening, and it's like you're kind of getting used to it, but your person is the reason that they're doing this, and the reason that they are being as distant as they are is because they've kind of talked themselves into, it's not going to be worth it for me anyway, this is too good to be true, there's no way this can be real. So they've walked away from the struggle. This is almost like a Nine of Wands in reverse, or a Nine of Fire in reverse. They've decided not to engage in the struggle, but now there's this situation where both of you will be moving forward, but the without necessarily the direction that you might otherwise have, the spiritual direction. So we're going to start clarifying. This is the Tarot of the Spirit, and we're going to start here with the Three of Water that's in reverse. Okay, so we have the Brother of Water in reverse. That's like the Knight of Cups in a traditional tarot. In reverse. And so this is going to be about passionate actions not happening. We know that there's kind of a stifling of that passionate energy and the desire to come forward and just be loving and let emotion flow. That doesn't seem to be happening. I also see that there is this lack of partnership that's almost a new lack of partnership. Like there was a strong sense of partnership at one time, but what we see here is kind of the absence of that. And it's really interesting because it's part of what's driving this discomfort here. Some of you have been separated from your person for quite a long time, and we're talking about months, possibly even a couple years. 2020 was a month where a lot of these separations or a year, I'm sorry, where a lot of these separations started to occur. So some of these, and some people got separated even earlier than that and have been playing at this for much, much longer. So, it really, some of these can be kind of lengthy experiences. And yet what we really see here is kind of this almost renewed effort to not be a partnership. And that's part of what's creating this feeling. So if you aren't even in contact with this person has suddenly kind of renewed their attempt to stay away, their refusal to be a party to things coming together, and it has everything to do with their fear and that they've talked themselves into it being too good to be true, but it won't go away. So it won't go away for them, but they're trying to walk away from the struggle, and it's a big challenge for them. They're putting forth a lot of energy, just kind of trying to turn away. And it's interesting because why would it keep coming back to them? And that's kind of what they want to know. So we'll look at this Two of Air that we have in reverse. I think we've got a couple of cards already. So we've got a Two of Fire and a Seven of Fire. The Seven of Fire is in reverse. This is that lack of strength. So we saw this almost the same. We saw this kind of come up on YouTube. It was the Seven of Fire, the Seven of Wands that came up on YouTube to say, I'm just not strong enough. It was like the strength card. And I say on YouTube, these are both on YouTube, but I'm talking about the reading that I did. This feels like the extended for a reading. It feels like the extended for the one that I did for the monthly refresh. So if you haven't watched that, it may be worth going back and taking a look at that one. That one did not have an extended, but this feels like the next message. It's just moving right along. So there's this choice that's not being made, decision that's not being made, lack of confidence. Feels like their strength just fails here. And they too are at a crossroads. So what we saw in the reading for the mid-month was that there was this crossroads that they end up at, but it's like you both end up at a crossroads, and yet your response to it is almost, okay, hold on. I see that these things aren't working out, that this decision isn't being made, that this door isn't opening, you know. What you can't see is that they're walking away from this struggle, but you can kind of see the impacts of it, right? You can see the fact that they may be wavering in their communication, or they say one thing one day and something very different and much more distant the next, you know, and it has a lot to do with, no, I'm walking away from this struggle and deciding not to have it. So let's take a look at this Ace of Earth and go ahead and clarify that one. Looks like we've got one of our cards here. The Magus. All right, so it's in reverse. I almost wanted to turn it in the upright because it wants to be turned in the upright. It's something that's being held back. And then we also have the Chariot. So there's the impetus that wants to move it forward, even though it doesn't seem it's stuck. There's a desire on your part and your person's part to move this relationship forward, but the door is not opening, and the part on your person's part, this desire to move forward is being counteracted directly. They don't believe they can. They don't believe that they can be successful. And this is a huge thing here because there's no reason this card can't be upright. It feels like it should be. But then this card would also be upright and things would be moving and things would be flowing. But they're not, because there is this piece in your person that feels like they lack the strength. They find themselves at this crossroads and they just kind of lock up. Now, we saw in the reading for the mid-month, the refresh reading, that there was something in the way for them there, something that was a place of balance that they kind of didn't want to walk away from, didn't want to upset. Could be a family situation and they wanted to stay for the kids, or something like that. You know, that's just an example. It's a really specific example, but it's probably right for somebody. It's that sort of energy, though. Let's take a look at this Ten of Water and see. We know that, like I said, that Ten of Water denotes looking. It means that something seems like it's too good to be true, but sometimes you get in there and you discover it's not too good to be true. I just wasn't interpreting it properly. So what we have here is resurrection. But in the reverse. This is like the Judgment card. And then we have the One of Fire, which is like the Ace of Wands, but it's in reverse. So it's like they've taken this match, this torch, you know, and that's what that Ace of Wands is. And they turned it upside down and dunked it in the water. That's kind of, to put it out, that's the energy of this. And it's what your person is doing to themselves. So it's a self-sabotaging sort of energy, and they know it. It's not passing judgment within them. This is something that, remember, it's that thing that's impacting you, but depending on your perspective, it may or may not be a good thing. In this case, it probably doesn't feel like a very good thing to you, because this is your person deciding that they're trying to walk away, which we see them walking away here, but it's very, they are putting the torch out. They are the ones who are walking away very intentionally after having just engaged you in some cases. This person has just acted very differently and brought you back to the edge and then said, no, I'm not looking forward to this partnership. I don't have the strength to move forward or even to make this decision. I'm seeing this crossroads, and honestly, I'm just kind of sitting down in the middle of it, you know. Don't believe that they can do it. There's a sense they don't believe they can do it, and that is the reason the door is not opening, despite the fact they want to. They have energy moving that direction, and so do you. And your energy is, it's connected to the point that even your energy that goes that way makes them, it influences them toward feeling like they want to do this too. Let's take a look at this Five of Fire that's in reverse. This is them refusing to take the struggle. So if I just have a single card fall, I'll turn it over. We have the Ten of Water. There it is again. Ten of Water. And that's that, oh, it's too good to be true. So I'm walking away from this because I already know I get caught. They feel like they get caught looking at you. They feel mired in your energy. They can't look away. But yet you're this light that's too bright for them to look at. So that's really interesting. That's one of those things that has sometimes come out in readings in the past with the individual readings, and I'm really feeling it here. It's like a light too bright to look at, and so they're just closing their eyes and not trying. because there's also no emotional wind at their back from the universe on this. So there is something about this that, we talked about in the monthly refresh reading. There was this feeling that there was something that had to be kept in balance. And so your person is feeling this impetus to move forward from within, but from without, they're not being given much impetus. They're sort of being kept in this uncomfortable sort of energy, that the main idea energy, that feeling like they wish something would change, but they can't really make it change. And the reason for this is because they're being expected to go ahead and engage this struggle, or at the very least evaluate whether this thing is too good to be true, because this is an assumption they're making because they need to be able to put this torch out and walk away, but they know better. That's what this card is telling me. They actually know better than what they're doing. So it's like the universe has said, hold on, this is like the Hanged Man card, all of this amounts to the Hanged Man card a little bit, where the universe is saying, nope, hold on, I need you to reevaluate something. Reevaluate this, because it's possible this is a struggle you should be taking on. Maybe you should be reevaluating whether you want to make this decision, whether you can stand up and walk, from being sitting in the middle of the crossroads. So let's take a look at this energy that you guys are heading for, because this is that Hierophant in reverse, and it's feeling like you're moving forward, but not necessarily with the guidance. So let's see here. I dropped a couple on the floor, but they are not to be included in our spread here. Sometimes when I drop them, they are. Depends on if they come face up or not. If they're face down, there's no pressure. If they're face up, I got to evaluate it. Oh, let's see here. Okay, we've got two that wanted to come out for this. They just kind of glow up to me a little bit. Okay, so we've got the Five of Wind. This is that Five of Swords kind of energy that I've been feeling throughout. Every time this Five of Fire comes up, I feel the Five of Wind too. We also have the Hermit in reverse, and that is the energy of having gone into that thinking cave and not having found the answer. So it's not like they came out and said, okay, I get it. I know what to do now. I'm going to turn this upside down. I'm going to turn this upside down. We're going to open some doors. I really want to. That's not what happened. It's still unresolved. And so for your person in particular, there is a difficult challenge emotionally coming, because they have to try and bring some things together. And this resurrection card ultimately they have to pass judgment within themselves. Right now, that's not what's happening. So this is a really challenging space, and it has both of you in this internal struggle, anxiety sort of energy, but in both sort of in feeling like you could use more in the direction of spiritual guidance. And so this is something that, let's look at this as we move into the extended, because I feel like I mentioned earlier, this feels like the extended for that reading that we just had for the mid-month, but we're going to go ahead and take this one into the extended and ask a little bit more, because I'm consistently seeing that your person is not making a decision and does not feel strong enough to do so. What has to happen in order for them to get to that place? Because we can see that they feel like you're too good to be true. It just keeps coming up. What is the nature of this relationship and how they really are about you? That's something else I'd like to understand. And then to look a little bit more into this and see, how does this most naturally turn out? Maybe what has to happen in order for that to turn out. So we're going to go ahead and go into the extended. But before we do, I want to pull you an oracle card from the Earthcraft Oracle, and just get a feel for, this is an advice across the top card. It's just for you. It may or may not be relevant to just this relationship. Like, it'll impact this relationship, but it is not necessarily only going to impact this relationship. So advice for you in the collective. What advice? Oops. Let's see here. We dropped a whole bunch, so I don't want to take that. Like I said, if just one card comes out, I'll take it. Oh, you got two. Okay. These cards are read upright, and they are about, okay, so making sure that you are truly treating yourself as if you are sacred. It's easy in all this energy to kind of have the stomach acid and the difficulty sleeping and things that really are impacting you because of the troubled mind, the things that you go through that make it difficult to have calm thoughts and just an easy time of it. Remembering your own sacredness and taking some time to do some meditation might be helpful. If you need guidance on how to meditate, I released something back in October that a few people asked for and a few people watched. Might help you if you're just kind of starting out. But the idea is to make sure that you're honoring yourself, honoring your own energy, honoring the vessel, just being very careful with yourself. Be good with yourself because not everyone else is. And that's what we're having here too. Be careful. So Ivy is known for growing onto things and building strong bonds quickly. You may have a little bit of that in you as well under some circumstances, and you're just being advised to be sure that what you grow onto and build those strong bonds with is actually attached to something. Make sure it stands for something. Make sure it is dependable. So don't attach yourself to energy that is not super dependable and that has a tendency to come back on you. That may be a little bit of what's happening here, but I think what we have more here is a soul bond that is just incredibly difficult to look at. And I'm drawn to this here again with that feeling of the light that's too bright to look at. And so that's why they're closing their eyes and looking away. But we're going to go on into the extended. Take a look to see kind of what is happening with this relationship between the two of you and how they're really feeling about it. Because we see that they feel like you're too good to be true, but we maybe learn a little bit more about that and what has to happen in order to open this door and get this decision to get this person to not be sitting in the middle of the crossroads. The movement is critical. It's like they could go one way, they could go another way, but it just not going is kind of creating this difficult bolus of energy that we have right here. And so that plus this energy that you're moving towards still seems a little bit unresolved. So I want to understand what else we can learn maybe about that. So thank you for joining me this far with the refresh of the soulmate energy for November. Again, please like, share, and subscribe if you are so inclined. I would love to see you in the extended reading. If you just scroll down, hit show more, and look at the text under the video, you'll see the link to the extended reading, and that'll take you to Vimeo where you can work through the rest. So I'll see you there. Otherwise, I will see you in another reading.